And before we go, I want to discuss this week's moving testimony from the oldest living survivor of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. During the tragedy, a white mob attacked Black Americans in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in what was known as Black Wall Street. The attackers left hundreds of Black families dead, homeless, and fighting for survival. Viola Fletcher, who is 107 years old, came to D.C. to push for reparations and justice. Here's what she said.
I'm asking that my country acknowledge what has been happened to me, the traumas and the pain, the loss. For 70 years, the city of Tulsa and its stream of chambers told us that the massacre didn't happen, like we didn't see it with our own eyes. No one cared about us for almost 100 years. We and our history have been forgotten, washed away. This Congress must recognize us and our history.
Rachel, you were in Tulsa last year for Juneteenth. What's the impact, you think, going to be of these efforts, and what might come of this?
Well, listen, I think that the conversation on reparations has taken a major step forward. It's been introduced in every session of Congress since 1989. For the first time, it's actually made it out of the committee. It's a question of whether or not it can actually get through Congress. But, I mean, when we hear from someone like Viola, it was just last year that the Tulsa Race Massacre made it into the history books in Oklahoma. It is considered the single worst incident of racial violence in American history. And when I was on the ground, you could hear the pain and you could hear people learning about it for the very first time. So I think the conversation has moved a little bit further, but you still have Republicans, even Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. He says he does not believe that there should be reparations for the sins of something that happened hundreds of years ago. But there you have the living history of it, right? You're looking at her, you're hearing her, you're seeing her, and that impassioned plea to just not forget about what happened. So I think it's a notable movement. It was her very first time in Washington, D.C., actually, she said. The question, though, is can Democrats get Republicans on board to actually do something about this?
And we only have 10 seconds left, but her brother came with her, and I wonder if you think of the impact that this long history has had of ignoring it.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing that really struck me the most when I was in Tulsa, is that this history was silenced for so long because of the violence. Because if you spoke out, you were killed. And so this in itself, having the living survivors there on Capitol Hill speaking their truth, I think in itself is an extraordinary moment.